Hi, good evening everyone. Sorry, I think I'm a couple of minutes late there. So tonight's tutorial we're going to be doing a welt zipper. So to create a welt is a handy thing to know, things for like if you're creating maybe a sewing machine cover or a bag or something that you need to put a handle through. So basically it's a hole and we're going to put in a zip in that. So this kind of zip are ideal for putting in the lining of things. So it could be the lining of a garment or generally things like bags and purses. So I'm going to show you in essence what we are making. So it doesn't look very much and you probably wouldn't go for white thread on red fabric with a blue zip. But the idea is you've got a little pocket there and I'm going to show you what you could use this for if you wanted to do it just this project in isolation and not part of a bigger project. But what I'm going to be doing tonight is putting the zip into the lining that I'm going to use for a tote bag. Messenger bag. So I've kind of done that prep work. So if you're watching next week and you're going to watch the messenger bag, then I will already have done this process before I've created my bag. So if you've been making lots of tote bags, reusable shoppers, beach bags, that kind of thing, and they're great, but you're just rummaging around the bottom of your bag, just trying to scrabble around, trying to find the important things like your mobile phone or your keys or your mask or your purse or stuff like that, stuff you don't want to get lost in a big bag, then these are something that you can really easily add in to the lining or the top casing of a top turnover of a bag, and I'll show you that at the end. But like I said, I'm going to put mine in my lining of my bag. So you'll need a rectangle that is about 24, 25 centimetres wide and about 32 centimetres long. So you've got enough to gauge it once you've folded it in half to fit whatever you want to in there. So I just checked it that my mobile phone fit in there. If you are using scraps, which is a great thing to do, you could use two pieces of fabric that are 24 centimetres wide by 16 depth. I've just got it in one just to make it a little bit easier for me, and I had this, so that was fine. I'm going to be, like I said, I'm going to be inserting it into the lining of my bag. So I've got my bag fabric and then I've got the actual pocket fabric. So if you were making like the standalone little pouch, then for the front of the pouch you'd need an extra rectangle that was 25 centimetres wide by 16 deep. So in essence you might need 3 of those rectangles or one bigger piece and one smaller piece, but I will put the measurements on Facebook when I come off live. Like I said, they're a really good way to scrap bust, and if you want some zip practice or you want some practice doing your welts and the top stitching and you don't want to do it straight onto the line of your nice messenger bag, then it's a great project to do. And ultimately, if it's not the need to sew in, then it's really functional for your bag. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create the welt. So I'm just going to flip you around. Oops. So I've got the lining of my bag. So I'm just making sure, because I've got curved edges there for the bottom of my bag, that I'm making sure that I'm kind of around this top area here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to very quickly fold my bag in half so I find the middle centre of the bag. And I'm going to be measuring down so that it's in a nice position. So basically I want it around the top edge of my bag, so that when I'm going in to kind of get my phone or my keys or whatever, I'm not going too far down, so it's not too far into the bag. But obviously I also want to make sure that I'm not going to get it too near to the top, because I've got my flap and to attach and all my seam allowance to include. So I'm going to do it about 3 centimetres down. So I'm just going to measure. In fact, let's put this fabric on, and again I'm just going to find the centre of that. So I'm just going to do it with a bit of pen this time, I think, instead of the pin, because I've already got a pin there. So I'm going to put the right sides together, just pin those down like that. So I've got the lining fabric on the right side. Don't worry if you're thinking that's a bit crazy, because we're going to be pushing that onto the back, and I'm going to measure 3 centimetres down. And I'm just going to do it in a few points from that top edge. So I've got a nice level zip pocket. So the actual pocket itself, the actual kind of but it's a bit like creating an envelope. I'm going to do it 20 centimetres wide by 1 centimetre depth. So it's going to be a very small little channel. So I've got 25 there. So I'm just going to measure 2.5 centimetres in. Oops. 2.5 centimetres in. Like that. And then this will be the top edge of my pocket. And I'm going to make the depth of that 1 centimetre. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but honestly, it'll be plenty. So I'm using a 12-inch zipper, just because that's what I've kind of got in my stash. But you could use like a scrap of continuous zip. So if you've put some zips in some cushions or your bolsters or something like that, purses, and you've got some oddments left, then this is a great way to use those up. So the line that I'm drawing now, I'm going to be sewing along this in a minute, so I'm making sure that it is really nice and neat and square, because it will give me a really nice, neat, finished edge for my for my welt. And I'm using a heat erasable pen, so don't worry thinking, oh my god, she's drawing blue lines on pink fabric. So I've got my welt drawn out there. It's going to put a couple of extra pins so it stays in the right position. And I'm going to be actually stitching on that line. So I'm just using a regular straight stitch, regular foot for now. And I'm just aiming to stitch right on that line as neat as I can. I'm just dropping that needle and pivoting so the corners are really crisp. Now I'm oh god, I've prepared a needle and thread for in a minute, and I've just managed to get it tangled in my sewing machine. And just as I get back to the kind of the original stitches, I'm just going to go over and do my 3 stitches forward, 3 stitches into reverse and forwards again, just to secure all that up. And then I'm going to do some trimming now. So I'm just going to get rid of all those threads. Oops. And then take my pins out, because what we're going to be doing in a minute is posting this fabric through to the inside of the bag. So I'm just going to fold the fabric in half. And just very, very carefully slice down the middle. I'm just being really careful because I'm just paranoid that I'm going to... In fact, I think I've got a big enough slice in there now. Don't want to chop it through my stitches. And I'm just going to go all the way till I get maybe 1/2 centimetre towards the bottom end. Like that. Really hoping that you can't hear my other half cheering at the football in the background. It's probably some nice quiet time for people whose partners are into football. So I've got that slice there, and then I'm going to take, and I'm just using these little snips just to get a really nice sharp corner as close as you dare, and I mean really close, which does feel a little bit scary, right into the corner. So the closer and braver you are with those little snips there. Oh no, you can hear my other half. Oh Christ. It's a good job this is oh no, it's not after 9, is it? after the little ones have gone to bed, I hope. Right, so, yeah, as close as you dare, like that. And then what we're going to be doing is posting all of that lining fabric through to the back of the bag lining. So I followed the exact same processes with this, but all I started with was, instead of my actual bag, was a square, a rectangle of this. So I just had 2 rectangles together. So hopefully you'll kind of get the idea from this. So I'm posting it all the way through there to the back, like that. And I'm aiming, so if I'm pulling at the corners, can you see I'm getting a nice sharp corner there? And I'm going to give it a really good press in a minute. So I'm just going to flip you around to the ironing board. And give all that a really good press. And I'm just rubbing at the seams, just so the seams really sit on the edge of that. And just think of it like a letterbox. So the welt, so they sit right on the edge of that welt, really, really nice and neat. So pressing really is pretty crucial here for the kind of end result. And I'm really, really going to push at those corners just so they're laying nice and flat. So I'm pretty happy with the crispness of those corners. But if you can see it more on the back, and can you see there where there's a little bit of sort of stress on the fabric? I just need to just press it extra and a little bit of extra. But if you're finding it's really pulling there and you're not getting that kind of 90-degree angle there, give it another snip, be braver. So you've got something like that. Mine's looking a little bit wibbly wobbly, so I'm tempted to just give it an extra rub. And just get it a little bit flatter, straighter. Oh, I think I'm being a perfectionist, which isn't normally like me. So the next thing I'm going to do is put my zip in. So my zip is going to face up to me, and I'm literally kind of just popping this white zip on there like that. So what I want to do is, can you see both my ends of my zip are hidden there? Can't see them, but I am just going to check is that the end of my zip isn't going to be near to where I'm going to be sewing. So I'm going to be sewing really quite close to the edge of there, and I'm just going to make sure that metal stopper is nowhere near that zip, because I really don't want to sew over that. Just see if I can tilt you a little bit. Oh no. Let's pop some pins in. It's really hard sometimes to work in sort of fresh air. I always need to work on a flat surface. So I'll get a few pins in and then I'll lift it up and show you. And I'm just trying to centre my zip. I'm trying to make sure so there's actual zipper teeth sit in the middle of that little envelope. So 1 centimetre didn't seem like much, but you'll see that it's absolutely plenty. So I did a little sample of this. When I was doing my little sample, doing my practice, I tried to do this without tacking it into place, and the zipper foot just moved the zip and it looked absolutely awful. So it's not very often that I will tack a project, but I definitely recommend tacking zips where you can. Obviously, if you're working with something like a PVC or a coated cotton and you can't, then obviously it can't be helped. But if you can in a project, it's definitely worth doing. I'm just really trying to get that in the centre. Although this is nice because it's a white zip on white fabrics, it's not as obvious, but it's just not looking quite level. So before I finish all my pinning, I'm just going to move my zipper head, zipper pulls, whatever you want to call it, into my envelope, because obviously if I sewed it out there, I would trap myself out my zip, which would be pretty silly because then we wouldn't be functional at all. So I'm just trying to pull the ends of my zip together so they're sort of sitting as close together as I can, and I'm just going to put another pin in there. So that is the sort of effect we've got so far. So I've got that little letterbox. So I'm going to hand stitch this into place. It's very rare you'll see me tack, and like I said, I only recommend it where I really, really think you need it. So I'm just going to go all the way around my zip, so down both sides, and I'm going to give it a bit of an anchor at the top, the end of my zip. Like that, oops, where the zip's open, just to keep those two ends together. So honestly, do not worry about how untidy. Oh, I've got a knot in it already. Thought I'll do it extra long and then I won't run out, and it's, oh, we go, I can pull that out. So don't worry about how messy or wonky or tangled these stitches are. They're not going to be seen on the finished product. They're just going to do a really good job of anchoring that zip in place where you want it. I'm not the biggest perfectionist, but it would really bug me, I think, if this was wonky. Oops. And I'm just going to go all the way down either side and across at the bottom and top of the zip as well. I will do this as quick as I can. I'll keep my eyes on questions, hoping there's no more extra football cheers while we're doing this when it's all quiet. So just zipping down there. And I'm trying with my fingers now just to keep the distance between the fabric and the zipper teeth consistent, or as consistent as I can. Going across the bottom. Halfway. I'm getting there. I'm picking up speed. It's been a while since I've properly done some hand stitching. It's like, so they don't need to be tiny. Mine are giant. Mine are about 1 inch long, these stitches, but they will just help to keep everything where I want it to be. Nearly back at the beginning now. And then I'm just going to finish with a little knot. A little stitch on the spot. And then I can take all of those pins out. So let's just cut that needle off. Put it somewhere safe. And now I want my zipper foot. So it's normally a good idea, if you're not particularly confident doing this, and just turn your machine off, obviously, while your fingers are going to be around the needle. So, get down there. Quite often there is a little lever on the back of your presser foot, and if you squeeze that lever, let me just take it out of this holder for a minute. Here, like that, and if you squeeze it, it will drop down. If your machine doesn't have one of these, then the chances are it's just one that you snap on and snap off and you pull out. So I'm going to find my zipper foot. So mine looks like this, so it means that I can put it on either side. Sometimes you might find that your zipper foot only has one side that you can put things on. Don't worry about that, it will still do the same job. So basically, with your standard foot, it's got a little bar here, and you can see that little claw there. Whoops, sugar. It's a little claw there, and it just sits on there. Whereas the zipper foot, it will sit either left or right. So I'm going to put mine on my left-hand side. So I'm just going to gently tuck it under my machine, and then just lower my press foot very gently, instead of kind of the normal slamming it down, just gently until it clips on. Let's put it back in here. I've just thrown my... Oh. So nice and carefully, I'm going to be going all the way around this box. So I'm going to start just kind of below where my zip is here. And what I'm going to be doing is, because I want to be sewing obviously through the pink and the leopard print fabric and through the zipper tape, is I'm just going to put my presser foot edge, let's get a little bit closer again. So the edge of this presser foot is going to line up with the edge of the teeth, so that my needle is just going to be going just into the fabric there. So you can manoeuvre it wherever you want. Quite often when you're doing a zip, you put that bit you've just clipped on the zipper teeth, and you're sewing really nice and close. But because of the welt, I want it a little bit further away, so I'm still catching the fabric. Right, and I'm just gonna go nice and gently on this because it's the only visible stitching we're going to see. But luckily, I'm going to do white on white and not white on red today. So I'm going to just approach that corner with caution, and I want to be about 1 millimetre or so away from this edge. So I'm just making sure I'm feeling now my finger, my stopper is there, so I'm not going to hit it, and I'm just going to lift my press foot up with my needle dropped. Probably, let's do one more stitch maybe. And I'm just going to go across. So you will be able to go across those zipper teeth, but like I said, absolutely not the metal end. And again, I'm just going to twist, because I can always do another stitch, but I can't go back. No, I'm quite happy with where I am. So as I approach the pull of the zip, so that obviously I don't end up going really wide right around there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up my presser foot, and I'm just going to very carefully move my zip just back there beyond where I need it, and then put my presser foot back down so I can get nice and neat on this top edge. And I'm doing the same principle I did at the closed end. Again, I'm making sure that I'm not going to hit these little metal ends. I'm just running over those zipper teeth. And I'm going to twist. I think I'm in the right position there. And then hopefully here, my original stitches should meet my these stitches now. And I'm just going to overshoot by about 3 stitches again and just do 3 stitches in reverse and then forwards again just to secure all that together. And I'm just going to check that I've got a functioning zip like that. So I can just see that flash of pink, that blush pink. That is completely personal preference. So obviously I could have used the same fabric. I could have used the leopard print if I'd wanted it's completely blending, but I don't mind that. So I've got a functioning zip, and of course I just need to pull my tacking stitches out. So I'm going to take my presser foot back off, put my regular foot back on. So again, I'm just squeezing that lever at the back until it drops off, putting it somewhere safe so I don't lose it, and then I'm just going to clip that regular foot back on. So I've managed to turn my machine off. So obviously I've got a zip, I've got a hole I can put things through, but I've not got a pocket yet. So what I'm going to do, because obviously this is the lining of my bag, is I'm going to take this big rectangle, I'm going to bring it up like that, and we're going to be sewing around the pink. Not left a whole lot of, oh no, that's just my tacking stitches. Oops. Like this. So I'm going to be sewing around this pink so that then when I open it up, I've got a pocket to put things in. So the only difference when I was making this little pouch is at this stage, instead of putting my fabric together like that, so I've got all the raw edges here, which of course on my bag won't matter because they'll be trapped in my lining, no one will ever see them. What I did on my red one is I took my fabric and I put the right sides together like that and sewed down there. So I sewed down my side seams and then flipped it out to make that little pouch. So I'll just turn this back and then you can see. Obviously I wanted neat edges, so I'd got my little flap like that, and then I just put my extra lining piece over there and stitched right sides together. So I've left the top edge open, and I'll show you why afterwards. If you're making something like a pencil case, if you left your zip open, then you could sew the top edge and obviously turn the whole lot through here. All I would do is just zigzag, overcast, overlock the edges, and then it's all nice and neat. But you could do all of the edges and make a nice little pencil case. That'd be a cute project in itself. So I'll just flip that all back around, ready to show you. I'm going to do that in a sec. So I'm just going to zip some of these tacking stitches out because I think they're going to just stop me getting as close as I want to my pink fabric, my lining. Oh, this should be all right. So I'm going to put in pink to pink, wrong sides together this time, which is normally a little bit weird. So what I'm going to do is, because I now don't need the end of those zips, so the end of the zip is now created by that stitch we've just done. So I'm just going to trim those off because we don't need them and they're just going to get in my way. So I'm just going to trim them pretty close to the stitching and get rid of the ends of my zip. And the same there. Just going to take off the end of my zip. So I'm just going to line this up. This was a bit of scrap, so I'm not sure how neat and how perfectly straight this is. So if anyone's got any questions, I'm trying to keep one eye on them. Hopefully this is fairly straightforward. So I'm just trying to make sure that I don't catch any of that leopard print in anything that I'm doing at the moment. So it kind of looks like I'm wrestling with it a little bit. So I'm going to use about a centimetre seam allowance for this, and I'm going to come up one side. So I'm just pushing all of that leopard print away, so I'm not going to catch it. And I'm just going to do 3 stitches to start with and then 3 into reverse. So drop your needle and I'm going to do the top edge. Now this is the scariest one because I've got less fabric now. So I'm just going to fold that back and again do a centimetre along that top edge. What was it? Pins the wrong way. And then drop it again, and again just nudge that fabric out of the way because you don't want to trap it. And ending with those 3 securing stitches. So this is the inside of my bag. This is the lining, and I've now got a fully lined pocket. Obviously nice neat edges because the raw edges are going to be on the inside of the bag, so nobody will ever see that. So if you've just made one of these little pouches, like I said, it could be made into a really super simple pencil case. Or what you could do, I've got this tote bag that I have had for about, I'm going to say probably about 5 years, and the handle has finally gone after all the junk that I've put in it, so I need to unpick this top edge. But if you were making tote bags and they're unlined like this, but great, big, nice big bags for the beach or wherever to put your stuff in, this would be an ideal little kind of accessory when you are top stitching your casing down before you put your handles on. If you trapped your little pouch under that casing and then tucked it in, sort of stitched it in when you did your top stitching on your casing, you would then have that sat in the inside of your bag somewhere safer and somewhere so you're not kind of losing things like your purse and your keys or your mobile phone, something like that. So just a really nice little add-on. Like I said, I've just used scraps, and if you've got some zip left over from some continuous zip left over, might just be a really good use of just a little bit of oddments of zip. So I'll just flip myself back around. Oh, it's really in my face. So I'm going to have this sort of pre-prepped for my messenger bag next week, that little pocket, but something that you can add to existing bags or an existing bag pattern. So like the reusable shopping totes, I've made like about 1 million of those, so I thought that'd be a really nice add-on just put on the inside, so that when you go shopping and you've got your millions of things we've got now, like sanitizer and masks and God knows what else, then you can just put something in that little pouch or maybe make it into a pencil case. But just a real nice scrap buster. So the minimum fabric you can do this with is 25 centimetres by 16, and you need 3 pieces, so it's nothing really, but just a nice little add-on to a project, another little skill. And like I said, just maybe some zip practice, so that when you come to do your nice messenger bag, then you've done some practices and you're feeling really confident to add a different type of zip into there. I'm just about to put a post on. I've just posted, I can't remember. I think I'm just about to do a post anyway. I've written it all out of what you'll need for next week's messenger bag. And I'll put the dimensions on for this now before I've got a chance to forget. So you've got an idea of what you need, and also the dimensions of the bag pieces you'll need for next week. But it's not mega complicated. It's a really simple but dead effective make. So I hope you've enjoyed watching that, and I shall see you all next week. Thank you very much.